Hello everybody out there and welcome back to another Dark Avenger comic book review. Running a couple of days late, but still running nonetheless. And in this review, the books that we will be reviewing were released on the week of
February 24th, 2016, the last week of February.
And apparently the last week of every month is a Superman heavy month for me, or a Superman heavy week for me. And there definitely were cuts this week. I would like to make mention that new Inhumans, I've decided to cut that as a pleasure read after all. It just made more sense. Black Magic also I'm still catching up on. And Cry Havoc, I haven't read issue 1 yet, so I didn't have a chance to read issue 2. So those are a couple of disclaimers I want to give you guys before we go into this review. Anything Inhuman I'm going to be reading just for my own pleasure. I mean, I will talk about it obviously on reviews, like live shows and whatnot, but they're not going to be on this review anymore. If anything big happens ever in the book, I will cover it, of course. But for the most part, Inhumans is more of a pleasure read from time to time.
Plus, Patsy Walker Hellcat came out also that week, but I didn't download it. I did read it, though, which was a really good read, though. Now, it was a fun read, more or less, but like nothing big happened for that issue, but it's just a fun read for that. Alright, so let's start with the digital books. Starting
While
with
you're there,
Back to the Future, issue number 5.
this was an okay issue. Obviously, it got its ongoing series. The artwork was alright. It's a lot about Sarah and her wanting to, her kind of wondering if she was in Doc's place, or Doc telling stories about things we didn't see in the movies, like when he went to go see himself in Biff's dark timeline where they lobotomized him and stuff like that. It was nice backstory. It's nice, like, why the Doc finally decided to make the time machine train to travel back to the future, because Clara I said Sarah in the beginning, didn't I? Clara wanted to see the future. She needed it in a way. I guess scientific curiosity. But it was a nice book. Again, it's something for Back to the Future fans. Personally, for me, it was an average read.
The Troop, issue number 3.
We find out about one of the, actually the first person that, I forgot what his name was, ended up saving, and his wife and other people that he saved didn't have a warm reception to that. We also get introduced to another new character with abilities. No matter what happens to this kid, he always heals. So it's kind of like a Wolverine kind of deal, or he never gets hurt, no matter what happens to him. He's a drug addict. He drinks a lot. This kid's going down a dark path, but apparently he can't get hurt. And then we get introduced to another family in Brazil. One kid who's able to shoot fire out of his mouth, and the sister who apparently can cause atomic explosions. And everybody in the family's not happy about this guy hiding this kid out and using him, even though he's in a suffering state, to track down other people with abilities. The wife actually wants him to end the kid's suffering, and he says, as soon as my mission's complete, she's like, no, when we get back, this is the first thing you're going to do. Very interesting story. I'm really, really enjoying it, and I would highly recommend checking out The Troop. They do end up saving some of the people. I want to say there are a few deaths in this book, and the kid who is is going on the side story, he shows up at the end of the issue also, looking for the family.
Assassin's Creed, issue number 5.
I enjoyed this. This took place in the present, though. There's no back in time. The main character, she has to go in to try to save the agent that was taken by the Templars. Things don't go right. She ends up accidentally killing somebody, and I'm not going to say how it happened, but really interesting. One of the assassins do end up dying, though I don't want to spoil who. Artwork in this book is gorgeous. Action in this book is gorgeous. I'm really intrigued and interested in where this story is going in the future.
Okay, so from here on in now, my books, starting from Zenescope's Oz, No Place Like Home one-shot. And I've been waiting for this book for about a month or two since they advertised it. And just to sum it up, basically in the beginning, it's Warlord who is asking for the blood of Gale, who is Dorothy Gale. And we find out that she's just, with her friends and everything at a carnival and stuff like that. And we find out that Tin Man, who wants to be with this woman where the Warlord was in the beginning of the book, said that the only way that the Warlord will grant you to be human again is if you bring him the blood of Gale, because whatever you do for Warlord, he gives you a grander wish. So his mission now is to get that blood of Dorothy.
And Tin Man is stupid. He's always the bad guy.
I know, and he's a traitor. And then this guy, I don't know if he represents as the Line or anything. I forgot what his name was. Actually saved her because he was almost at the brink of... Tin Man was at the brink of almost killing her. And then there was just this fight that just broke out, and I believe that he was the father of Dorothy. From not telling her... There's just this thing that he hasn't told Dorothy yet, and I think that was one of them. But it was really great, and then it's to be continued in the Oz trilogy, which I've read. I think I only read The Reign of the Witch Queen, but I didn't read the other 2 volumes, I believe. But, really great book. Definitely check it out. And also from Zenescope, Red Agent issue number 2. And if this character in the cover looks familiar, she was actually from Coven. And Avril, who was the witch that was with Baba Yaga?
Baba Yaga.
Yeah, Baba Yaga, is actually in this book, who is teamed up with Red Agent because the character who Avril wanted to defeat, she's looking for revenge on him for basically, what he did in the Coven books. And you have to probably read that to better understand his character and everything. And basically Red Agent has to protect Ditto from him getting killed, and he has mind control and everything. And we get a little bit about his character at the end of the book, and looks like someone's going to be taking over his mind because things go haywire when Red Agent was asking Ditto for help, and that's doing the opposite of just her being in danger. And him as well with the mind control. And that's really the best I can give. I mean, there's other parts too if you want to read the book. Definitely check it out. Red Sonja issue number 2. Now, this one is basically about the Black Falcon throne. Where, she wanted to... the Black Falcons thought that they were... that she was on their side. That attacks families and whatnot, so she actually becomes a very good hero in this part. But there was this other part of the story that was a little bit boring, where it talks about this woman who does all these stage plays for the general, where actually Red Sonja meets up with the general about the whole thing of what's going on and stuff like that. So I forgot the actress name, and Red Sonja, they team up together to take out the Black Falcons. And she meets up with Salvis, who actually appeared in the last issue. And I believe that was her 3rd or 2nd lover that she was with. And she's saying, oh, this is nice, I want to kiss. But then her eyes were saying, wait a minute, something's fishy. I like how they showed her expression at the end, like saying, oh, this is nice. And her eyes open. I just thought that was funny. Ghostbusters International, issue number 2.
And that trailer dropped today. That movie trailer, man. We'll save that for tomorrow night's live show. Or 2 nights live show, because you guys are seeing this Friday morning.
Yeah. And basically, from last issue, Erling Vinter wanted to buy the Ghostbusters, and him and Walter Peck make a business of having PCOC take place at the Ghostbusters, while they go to Poveglia, Italy, to find out about this paranormal activity that's been going on. Because there's been a high volume of paranormal activity, leaving Egon behind, of course, because of him healing. And they just know about these spirits, and they just do investigations. But the big investigation is in Poveglia Island,
which is the next issue.
Which is going to be in the next issue. So really, that was the gist of the whole book, really, if you want to look at it that way. Plus, Venkman encountering with a demon too, of to go away and stuff like that. Diva Andare, I think. So yeah, you have to go. Actually, that's what it means. The Spirit issue number 8. This was an iffy book. It was okay. It was basically talking about this icon that he has, where he goes from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. Because I couldn't tell him about, because it was this big, huge importance of this book of the Spirit. And, of course, the general saying about how he's bad, and this woman who was in love with him saying that he's good for the people because he does justice. But we find out a little bit about the icon of Mazi, or Madi, something like that. And he actually is going to play a really important part in this book, I would say. And it's just too much to actually talk about, but it's really serious business, is all I have to say. Bloodshot Reborn, issue number 11. What I like about this book is that he actually teams up with Ninjak in this book, and this is taking place in the future, where the Exo-Man Wars are taking over the whole town and everything. So it's up to Bloodshot and Ninjak to team up to get rid of them, along with the Shadow Men, who are possessing the Exo-Man Wars, actually. And the end of the book, well, remember Magic, that was Bloodshot's lover forever? Well, yeah, she dies in this issue. So now it's his objective to defeat every Shadow Man in remembrance of Magic. So Bloodshot, kind of like the Punisher. It's getting like the Punisher, I am telling you. They gotta have a crossover. I would really like that. And one more book until we get to you. Faith, issue number 2. It was like one direction that led to another. Basically, Faith is like doing this investigation about, what's been going on around town and everything, and sometimes she's in her human form, sometimes she's in her Faith form, and she asks this person who was his ex, but now he's with someone, to help her out on this mission because she can't do this all by herself. So she's trying to get like a team together to help her out. I can't really remember because it was like one thing and then it led to the next. It was like different multi-investigations that she has to do, and it's been impacting her on her job. Oh, and by the way, her job, she had to do something that she didn't like, looking at some about celebrities and how they are like multi-millionaires or something. It wasn't her forte, I think, but someone gets shot at the end of the book looking for Faith. So I want to know who that person was, because I know it wasn't her, but someone maybe close to her. The big 2 time, going with starting Batman&Robin Eternal, issue number 21.
Oh, man. This issue is a complete backstory issue. It's about Batman after defeating Mother. He's back in Gotham. He's questioning, if Mother really is dead. He wants to see her in the morgue. He wants to basically make triple sure that she's gone. And also he really feels bad about Harper and her brother. He wants to kind of do what he did with Dick, bring them into his family because the father's a deadbeat. And he says, how long will it take before she's standing at the top of the clock steps like Dick, and she becomes the next Robin? And he didn't want that to happen, so he chose to threaten the father instead, to make the father be the best father he could be. And that didn't work, of course, but basically he chose not to bring Harper in like he did Dick, like he did Jason. Like he did Jason, and like how Tim came into the picture. He wanted to literally leave Harper out of his war against crime. So he travels back to make sure that Mother's dead, and then we find out the backstory on what made Mother Mother, and we find out her first child. And it's a dark past, man. And then in the end, it turns out, this is no spoiler because Mother's in the present, Mother was still alive. And it shows Batman kind of purging all the files, just like what happened with Dick when he went to the back computer and there were no files on Mother because he had erased it all and put it on a hard drive. We see a little bit of Cassie in this book. But now Batman has everything on Mother in a hard drive just in case, because obviously Batman never trusts dead is dead. And obviously later on, I guess he gives it to Cassie. But hopefully we'll get back to the present because this is issue 21. There's only 5 issues left. 5 weeks, and this week is really issue 27. We're getting our books tomorrow, so I want to see within the next 5 issues. This has to all conclude unless there's a grand one-shot finale, which doesn't look like that. It looks like that's how they're going to go with this. That, or it's going to be a double-sized last issue. either way, there's definitely going to have to be a lot for that last issue.
Dark Knight 3, issue number 3.
Ironically, the collector's edition will be not this week's books that you guys will be seeing in the hall, but the next week's books. But anyway, the Kryptonians are threatening Earth. They want to be Earth's new gods. They want to be treated like gods, and as long as they're treated like gods, they'll let the humans live. Batman, Bruce, he's kind of saying, you know, I'm not old enough, I'm not young enough to do this anymore. I'm broken up inside, and he has, oh God, why did her name leave me? I had it, and then it left me. Oh my God. The girl that plays Robin. Wow.
Barbara?
No, not Barbara. Wow, that just completely out of my head for a moment. Carrie Kelly. When the Kryptonian thing happens, he decides with Carrie that he has to go to the fortress. Apparently this happened with Superman in The Dark Knight 2. I really got to get this trade paperback now because I'm very curious to see what happened with Superman that he literally chose to exile himself to the Fortress of Solitude. Maybe it'll be a trade paperback we get for mail time soon, but I'm really interested in bridging the gap between Dark Knight 1 and 2 now, because I read 1, which was good. I'm reading 3 now, and it's good. I want to see in the middle, even though people say don't read it because it wasn't good, I'm actually curious enough now to know what happened in between. But anyway, I love how he takes the sledgehammer to Superman's, the ice that's around Superman, and he cracks the head out a little bit, and he's trying to convince Superman, you know, the world needs you. It's killing me to say this, but I'm sure it's killing you to just sit here. No response. And Carrie's like, let's go, man. This isn't working, and his people are slowly destroying the world. We have to figure something out. And that wakes Superman up, and he's like, what do you mean, my people? And he gets caught up on it. And he goes to confront the Kryptonians, and Batman kind of teams up with him, so we get a Batman-Superman team up. And they're like, well, do you accept surrender? Do you accept us as your gods? And Batman just comes on all the monitors, and he's like, go to hell. And that's when Superman shows up. But what he didn't know was, in the middle of the issue, they confront Superman's daughter. At the end of the issue, Superman's daughter shows up. I don't like her. I mean, I know it's Clark's offspring and all, but I do not like this girl at all. She thinks she's so high and mighty like the other Kryptonians that she never sets foot on land. She's always hovering. She thinks she's too good to stand, that she's always supposed to be flying. And I don't like her character for some reason. I just don't like her, and I hope that she's not going to be an antagonist for the rest of the story arc. But man, I'm really interested to see what happens next. Backup story was about Green Lantern, and it was to be continued, so we're going to see more Green Lantern in the next issue. Great story, awesome artwork, both stories. I'm really excited. This is a really good series, and if you're enjoying it a lot, like me, hopefully you guys are getting the hardcovers like I am each and every month. It's about 3 weeks after the original issue comes out, but it's making a nice picture so far. I think it's 8 issues altogether, so it's looking pretty good.
Alright, Grayson, issue number 17.
At this point, I'm just waiting for this to end. Grayson's teaming up with, Jesus, see, this is what happens when you take too long. Shoot, it was the guy that shot Ted Cord. He teams up with him to try to take down Spiral. There's tests that are involved. There's a lot of action, a lot of fighting. At this point, honestly, I'm just waiting for Grayson to end and Nightwing to come back. So this really is more of a, not a guilty pleasure, more of a, I just want to see the series end so this way Nightwing comes back. I'm really looking forward to DC Rebirth.
All new, all different Avengers, issue number 6.
Alright, this story is slowly getting me back to being interested in the series. You have Miss Marvel and Nova. They were they were asked not to be on the mission, or well, Miss Marvel was released from the Avengers, and Nova was kind of pushed out of the way. So they end up going anyway. We find out that Vision was messed with, and this has something to do with the part where he tried to erase all of his emotions, and that's where the bug went into his system, and this guy was able to control him. Huge fight between all of them, but they're able to free Vision, and Vision puts a stop to, I forgot what the guy's name is. See, there's too many names, too many people. But it was a really nice story, and obviously everything had worked out in the end, and we got to see a little bit more of Falcon Cap with Thor, but Thor outside of being Thor, and it's really interesting. Out of all the Avenger books, this one is the one that kind of has me up and down, so this is the Avenger book I decided to continue to review and read.
All New X-Men issue number 5.
This was good. The Blob versus the all-new X-Men. Literally, all of the X-Men end up fighting the Blob after he kills, and I air quote, kills Wolverine. He leaves Angel alone, and he ends up out in the streets, and he starts fighting Beast. Cyclops gets into the mix at some point. Iceman gets into the mix. Kid Apocalypse is in it. Everybody gets into this fight, and then finally, back where X-23 is, she heals up nicely, and Angel's standing there. He's kind of like grossed out about it. He's kind of like, and he just, that was it for him. He snaps, and the end of the issue has a huge impact. I think it's going to be a huge impact on their relationship, and I'm going to leave it at that till the next issue. But wow, what a way to end the issue. And they're still pushing this Bobby being gay thing. It's like literally front and center all the time, and it's starting to get on my nerves because I enjoyed Hulkling and Hulkling and Magic, and we never, not Magic, shit. I'm bad with names tonight, guys. I apologize. But we didn't get it pushed in front of us with the Young Avengers. I just feel like they're trying to put it too forward in all new X-Men. I really wish they would back it up just a little bit.
Venom Space Knight, issue number 4.
I like this. We found out that the symbiote has the ability to keep its own form and its own personality, and as soon as it gets stronger, it'll be able to do it for an entire, for a half a day. But for right now, it only can do it for like an hour or two at a time. And it's able to talk to Flash as long as it's not attached to him. And it looks like they've got a really great partnership going on. So Flash ends up on this planet. He ends up fighting with this the panda that's working for the other agent that wants to take Venom out. They get caught up in a mix-up on the planet, which was crazy. And Venom actually offers to help this guy get his kid back, because that was the whole point, was for this guy to kill Venom, he gets his kid back. So Venom says, look, come with me, we'll figure it out, and we'll save your kid. Let's get off this planet, deal with the problem, and I'll help you save your son. And that's where the book is leading up to next. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. This Venom arc is, this story, this comic, this volume's a lot better than the previous one.
Okay, now going to my book.
I can't talk today, by the way.
Yeah. Starting with Amazing Spider-Man issue 1.3. I swear I am done with this series.
Done?
I can't. This, first of all, Spider-Man's character is completely out of character. Like, I cannot see this as the Spider-Man I read. And it's all talking about this Julio, or I forgot what his name was, still looking on the murder case, and he's talking like a little bit all street now. I'm like saying, no. I'm done with this series. I'm not gonna promote this any further. I tried to like this, but I just can't. So that's it. I can't read this book no more, because that's not my Spider-Man I always read. So that goes goodbye out the window for that. Going to something better, Hercules issue number 4. Now, don't let the cover fool you. Gilgamesh is not dead. However, though, he does get punished because of the storm that was coming, and with everyone thinking that he was Hercules.
In the Grayson issue, it's Max Lord. I'm sorry, I'm remembering names out of the blue. So Max Lord and Grayson. Grayson tries to give Max Lord Spiral. I remember the name now.
So
I'm
now,
happy.
So with Hercules seeing the letter that he wanted to do about being a hero, he's saying this is not good because now if the storm's coming, he has to go out and save them. So with hearing the screaming of him being in pain and everything, he actually finds him, where Athena, of course, is no help to him in almost every issue. And I think it was Iris, who is the god of whatever. They have a battle, but she's not the storm. The other person who comes in, when Hercules questions someone who is the god of storm, oh boy, what things happen in the end. You don't want to question the god of something, because bad things can happen. Oh, and I think he has a dog too, Hercules, as well. Which I just wanted to throw in there. But Gilgamesh is still alive. Just don't let the cover fool you. And finally, and I'll zoom this out after I show this, Silk issue number 5. From what happened in the last issue, apparently, after she joined the Goblin Nation, after that whole antidote that was infected into her, it was really all about Black Cat trying to get Silk out of it. Like, basically, it was just them fighting, and with Strike just saying, oh, she betrayed us and everything. I had nothing to do with this, you know. She just went on her merry ways, and, you know, of course that's a lie, because we, the readers, know that he betrayed her. So she got back to being human again, because take a wild guess what Black Cat had.
The antidote to
that could change her back to normal. So basically, she just got all the cobwebs out of her head, literally. And then after that was just... that was it. And the Pokemon dude was shown a little bit in this one. I call him the Pokemon dude because that's what everyone calls him now. But I believe that was it. That was really the whole thing of the book. So
alright, so let's start with the physical books. We start with the indies as always. So Mike, yours is first.
Yes, Bongo Comics Futurama Comics issue number 78. Now this one is actually funny because this portrays Annie. You know, the sun will come out tomorrow, you know, all that stuff. So that's what this book is portraying, since Futurama is good at that. And there's this Daddy Big Bucks, instead of War Bucks, who is looking to adopt a child, you know, and with the red head and everything. So Bender takes Fry's hair, literally, and uses it to be like a girl and everything. And Fry just freaked out about his hair, and Zoidberg and the professor were insulted because he said he looked like a freak and everything. I thought that was funny. And the chauffeur shows him around everywhere, and also Fry joins this, what's this, Baldies Against Hate. I mean, really? Well, I mean, this was more like a funny book. I mean, this one wasn't try-harding, as I saw in the other books. This was actually good, but of course... Big Bucks apparently has a mantle where he deheads people with red hair. So it's not to adopt him, it's to actually use him as a head for a wall. So he goes out and, well, they both go out because Fry found him and everything. And basically Bender spent all that money because they killed Big Bucks on all the stuff to be gone and the school to be for the kids with some type of powers and stuff like that, and well, not powers. I think for the kids for shelters because they were homeless, and also Layla shaved her head also, just to to give him her hair, but things, yeah. It was funny, this book. I actually have to say I did enjoy this book, but something to read. If you know Portraying of Annie, then you'll know the references, and if not, then read it for the giggles and stuff.
Yeah, I think I've got 3 books in a row now. Chew issue number... Shoot.
Oh, 55.
Oh, yeah, the 55th issue. Issue 55. Savoy makes his final move. And when I say final move in this issue, I mean final move. So we find out, I'm going to give you a little spoiler here because it is a week plus now late. Amelia isn't dead in this issue, and I love how the story says not dead yet. So that means the possibility of her being dead still could happen. So we find out that Savoy wasn't there to kill her. He actually was there to save her from these 2 guys that tried to kill her. However, he stole all of her manuscripts and the alien food that she was eating to basically help her tell the future. He reads the manuscripts, destroys them. Cho is now looking for Savoy. He insists that he has to find Savoy, and he goes to the one person he knows that can take him to Savoy. And Savoy basically says, let him come, give him the address, you've been a good friend. And the guy wonders why, and well, another piece of the puzzle is, and this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this, fast forward a couple of seconds, Savoy ends up killing himself and leaves Cho the note, eat me. And that's it. Next issue, it says Demon Chicken Pollo. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a one-shot or if this is going to be the beginning of the end, because there's only 5 more issues until Chew is over. Usually they take a break between story arcs, so I don't know if the Pollo thing is going to be another one-shot, or if they're moving forward with the story, because the next story arc is the final story arc. Alright, Saga issue number 34. So now the little girl has revealed herself to her teacher. Her teacher faints. And, oh wow, there's 2 more of this. Wow. Okay. And now this prisoner, the girl, the he-she, helps her cover up again and says, you shouldn't have done that. You really should keep your secret because now you might be in danger. Marco and Alana go to look for the help of Prince Computer, or Prince whatever his name is, to help save their daughter. He doesn't want to help, but his son kind of pushes him to help. This is obviously years later, so his son is now grown a bit. And he decides to go to help Marco and Alana because they threaten to tell the nation where he is. The teacher swears she's not going to tell on the little girl, but we all know that there's a possibility. We find out that the Mark might be a little woo-woo. I'm just saying, because he's got his girlfriend imaginarily with him, unless she's a real ghost.
I see what you're showing.
And we learn in the end, this is the biggest spoiler of the book, that the teacher is going to help the girl escape. I can't remember why her name left me for the moment, and I'm not going to bother
there's the
doing
book.
it again. But this is the book. This is a really great book. I'm really enjoying Saga. I really am. It's a really great book. Alright. Spawn. 261. Spawn versus everybody, literally. They knock Spawn out. They're able to get to his wife for a brief moment, and then he bursts out, and I love the artwork. The artwork is so good by Eric Larson. Oh, it's so good. And Al loses it. He loses it, and he takes the fight to everybody. The devil basically reveals that he has Al and his wife's unborn son, and all Al has to do is give up the costume or the symbiote, and he'll give the wife and him back, Wanda and him back, the baby, and everybody will live happily ever after. And then there's a huge explosion. This book has gorgeous artwork. The fight scenes in this book, the fight scenes were amazing. I mean, we get to see a little bit more of the Spawn mouth again, which I don't like, but I guess when he rages, he kind of gets venomed out, so to speak. But I really enjoyed this book. This is a really great book. I'm so glad Al's back, and Eric Larson's artwork is so good. And Todd McFarlane, he's doing so good. I'm so glad we got past that Jim Downing's thing. I really am. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 55, and I'm a little upset. Geekcast Radio gets quoted, but I'm the one that's been pushing this on YouTube. Geekcast Radio got quoted before me. Do you believe this? The literal poster boy for the I'm just kidding. I'm happy somebody got quoted, but I'm just saying that this book has been amazing since issue 1. And you can quote me on that. You can quote me on anything I say about this book. So Mikey's back in the lair. He's not, he's still reeling from all of that's been going on. He's kind of having little flashbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Aloplex and nobody are out on patrol trying to figure out about these cloaks, because it turns out what's his name is trying to find a way to counter them. Mm-hmm. It turns out Casey and April are on the rocks at the point where by the end of this issue they separate.
That's like the second time they did that.
We get to see Kitsune and Aloplex. We see Kitsune's plans start to unfold.
That?
And it turns out that Splinter might be onto what Kitsune's doing. Also, we find out that the deal Honeycutt made, which involved Leatherface. We all know it's Leatherface because it's the giant alligator. But now he's leading the Turtles to Burnow Island, which is a deal he promised. And another reason I think it's Leatherface is because this is the next cover. But the Turtles go to see Mikey in the lair, and they spend some bro time together, and then they're going to all together head off to Burnow Island, and I think this is going to lead to the confrontation with Leatherface. That's going to be really interesting. I'm loving this book. Each and every time it comes out, there's so many different stories going on, but it's sewn in so nicely that, multiple stories fix themselves up by the end of the story arc. So I'm really loving it right now. Turtles are doing amazing.
Alright, final issue of this story arc, He-Man the Eternity War, issue number 15. The way they ended this book was really perfect, but it tells you that there is going to be another story arc, and I'll explain why. So basically in the beginning of the book it talks about where Prince Adam talked with Zodak, who is the servant of the stars. I just want to make sure if I got his name right. Yeah. And he just tells him about, looking into the future and how he was trying to stop death and everything. And the people basically appreciate for what he did for them because he defeated Skeletor. And then we get Teela also in her regular form from what we saw in the last issue because her father, Man-at-Arms, sacrificed himself for her to be that. She-Ra leaves again to go back to her place and gives him the Light of Hope, or this medallion thing. I can't really remember.
Looks like a medallion, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a medallion. And the artwork was just beautifully drawn, I have to admit that much. And then Teela and him have a talk about, about what happened with her father and everything. And, well, with everything turning out happy in the end, they both get married. And I showed Chris this cover, and he was like, what?
I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. Now, this is where I think is going to be another story arc. What Evelyn does, I mean, this is a weak plus soul, like you said. She does this.
She brings Hordak back.
It could be Hordak, it could be anyone, but...
It could be Skeletor also. Actually, it looks more like Skeletor.
I don't know, but... And the reason why... The second reason why is because in the bottom right here, it says... Never... Wait, can I see it?
Yeah, basically.
Never the end. Which, and I like how he gives us the "you have the power," And I kind of like that because I read.
They'll take a break for a little while and then they'll figure out after DC Rebirth what they're gonna do.
Maybe they'll come up with another one, but if they do, I'll gladly read it and review it and let you know my thoughts.
I'm keeping all my Superman books together, whether they were good or bad. Superman: The Coming of the Supermen, issue number 1. I don't what? 3 Superman end up coming to Earth. We don't know where they came from yet. We just know that they're on Earth. Apocalypse attacks, of course. Apocalypse attacks, because why not? And
he's always mentioned.
I know, it's crazy. And, of course, they're led by Calabac. And the 3 Supermen fight Calabac and the other parademons. But where's Superman? Superman's in the Middle East, trying to make sure that everything is safe. This is Neil Adams' artwork.
Oh, it is? Okay, I thought it looked familiar.
So, Superman's in the Middle East making sure that, to keep people safe or whatever. I don't even care why he's in the Middle East. But he ends up coming back, and we get introduced to this character who's the messenger. And apparently he has a message for Superman. And first thing is he wants Superman to take this kid that he's saving in the Middle East, which he does. He goes back to Metropolis, sees the 3 Supermen, and just decides to stay back and watch what they're doing, because apparently they have all the same powers as him. And then finally, when he's seen enough, and I'm quoting him literally, he goes into the fight. First there's a confrontation, of course, between him and Lex Luthor, because why not? Because why? And then Superman shows up, scares the parademons away, and makes sure he's hidden well enough so the other 3 Supermen don't know he's there. And the messenger's like, you're not going to introduce yourself? You're going to let them just... you didn't want to meet them? He's like, no, and I have a feeling since you're here, you're going to have a message for me. And the messenger does. He takes him kind of back in time in his mind, or on a mental journey back in time. And apparently Darkseid was a part of the Egyptians.
Oh, Darkseid.
It's always Darkseid.
So, why? I thought maybe Brainiac, Metallo, or something. Why is it always Darkseid and
I don't know,
Apocalypse?
But that's where the book ends, and it was like, okay, so...
I don't read it, I'm annoyed by
3
it.
random Supermen show up to fight against Darkseid and his minions. Give me the next 2, because they go back to back.
What, these?
Yeah. And, Superman's in the Middle East trying to keep the peace, which that is very Superman, trying to save people and keeping the peace.
Okay, yeah.
But, I don't know. We'll see where the next issue goes. This story was all over the place.
That one first.
So, Superman Wonder Woman, issue number 26. and also Superman number 49. They go back to back because all the Superman books are crossing over right now. So you hold this temporarily. Superman, Wonder Woman, Vandal Savage ends up fusing the Fortress of Solitude with the rest of his ship. We get a twin group, which I think this is like a little nod to the Wonder Twins, but they don't have the Wonder Twins' powers. They kind of have Superman's powers. And Vandal Savage wants something in the fortress. Superman breaks into the ship to try to get the fortress back or to stop Vandal Savage. It fails. The Wonder Twin lookalikes end up knocking Superman and Wonder Woman out of the ship. And Vandal Savage is able to summon the collision course of an asteroid using the power of his base. He brings an asteroid on a collision course with Earth, but first he wants to crash the base into the Earth, which Clark tries to stop, and there's a huge explosion. Now, this would be a great cliffhanger if not for the fact that this came out, Superman 49. I like the artwork in this book. This was really an interesting book, but again, this was more of a trying to stop Vandal Savage from getting the fortress and not working, and it ended up that he got the asteroid to come towards Earth. Now, in this issue, Wonder Woman is looking for Clark, and Lois shows up with Metallo, and they try to help find Clark, and of course Clark just breaks down on his own because he's powered by kryptonite, because that's the new thing now, apparently.
I still don't know why.
And we find out about the asteroid, and the asteroid being close enough to Earth that it powers his children, gives them power. Hoarder Root meets a dark end. I'm not going to say how. Read the book to find out, although I don't know why you would want to. Superman takes a little bit of the power from Metallo's kryptonite heart to kind of re-energize himself.
Oh, that was Metallo.
And we get the big fight between Superman, the superheroes, Wonder Woman, and all of the offspring of Vandal Savage. We get a moment with Superman and Lois. The fight starts to go awry, and Metallo makes an ultimate sacrifice in this book, which kind of leads into Superman maybe having an infinite power source of kryptonite now, and that's all I'm going to say about this issue.
That doesn't make sense because kryptonite's his weakness.
Oh, but it's Superman, Michael.
Yeah, but all heroes have to have a weakness. I mean, what's his weakness? Not magic either.
Obviously,
magic makes him cuckoo.
Obviously, they'll cleanse him of the kryptonite, and it'll hurt him again like usual. Let's talk about a better Superman book. Let's talk about Lois and Clark issue number 5, because this was a better Superman book. So Superman is fighting Blank in the Fortress of Solitude, or his Fortress of Solitude, I should say. We get a little bit of flashback in the very beginning of the book where Superman was this close to revealing himself to new DCU Batman, but he ended up not. Because he honestly, and I love how he pokes at the fact that there's really very little difference between this Batman and his Batman and the old Batman, because the only difference is the age. He's a little bit faster, and then we get to see John Kent's 5th birthday, hooray, yay, and then we go back to present day where he's fighting Blank in the Fortress of Solitude. This is a really awesome fight, and it turns out that he's actually saved by Hank Henshaw. And he returns Hank Henshaw after he figures out this, hey, you're not a threat, you helped me, you're human, you're not, going cuckoo for cocoa pups like a robot, so I'll leave you here. And we find out that Hank Henshaw actually has a gem, which could be what these alien people have been looking for since issue number 1, finally. And then we get a little moment with Lois and Clark, and John Kent might have just figured out who his father is. This was a good Superman story. I'm excited, and they better not get rid of this, even in Rebirth. If they're going to keep the new DCU and they keep it the way it is, I want Lois and Clark to have their. Even if it's Man of Steel, I don't care what book they put this in. They need to keep this couple together in a book as well. Spidey 2099 issue 7. I'll be honest with you, I really got bored with this book, something awful. And it's just because I couldn't deal with this girl who got her inhuman abilities and apparently believes she's a god now. She ends up in this church at some point telling everybody to worship her, that she's God, she's gonna, she has all the power, yada. Basically, she had a power trip. She was going to do something really bad until her girlfriend showed up. She accidentally hurt her girlfriend, and then she just basically disappeared and ran away to hide out in a mountain. The end.
Wow.
Yeah.
short. And
She basically had godlike powers, and
even the dialogue didn't look that bad either.
it wasn't. I got through this in like 10 minutes. It was okay. It was a segue story. To be honest, now I understand why in 2 weeks... Yeah, I think I hit the microphone. Apologies, guys. It's no wonder why in 2 weeks we're getting the next Spidey 2099 already. I know because I ordered next week's books already, and it's there. So, no surprise. No surprise. But this was an okay segue story arc. Again, it's more of a filler story than anything else. It was alright. If you have to skip any 2099 stories, I'd say skip this issue and last. You'll be fine. It really had nothing to do with nothing except an Inhuman crossing paths with Spidey. Justice League, issue number 48, The Darkseid Wars, issue number 8. Now, the one thing I'm questioning is why it says at the end, to be continued in Darkseid Wars number 1, unless there's going to be a one-shot, which it's a good possibility. But I know this is going to still continue until issue 50. Justice League is an issue behind, since we're at 48 right now. So, the Justice League ends up teaming up with the Crime Syndicate. They're willing to give Ultraman kryptonite in order to power himself up, as long as they free Cyborg and Jessica. Unfortunately, they can't free Jessica. Apparently, Valtoon, the ring, basically, once it chooses a host, there's nothing they can do, but they promise as long as they give, Grid, it's his own robot body, they'll give Cyborg back. So, that's the deal. They end up giving Ultraman the kryptonite. They team up with the Crime Syndicate against the Anti-Monitor. Really awesome action in this book. Finally, things kick up. There is a death in this book. I won't spoil that. We get to see the Green Lantern Corps, which I thought was really awesome. All of them were fighting off against the Anti-Monitor. We find out that Steve Trevor is needed by Grail. We don't know why yet. What was it? I don't want to spoil that. So I'm going to save that. But it turns out that Superwoman might be having the baby too. And guess who's back? Lex Luthor comes back with all of Apocalypse behind him. So it looks like the epic battle between the Justice League, what's left of the Crime Syndicate, and Apocalypse. Oops. That's very good, Mike. Versus the Anti-Monitor. Finally, this story's kicking it into third gear, and the action's picking up, and it looks really good. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with Superwoman having the baby and everything. This looks really good. Left out a bunch of stuff. This is a really great. This was my favorite out of the most of the big two this week. I did like Lois and Clark as well, so it was my one of my two favorites. Justice League 48 was really good. I would definitely recommend it. I wish it would catch itself up so we could have all the issues back to back. And by the way, that was the color issue. Thank God that all the adult coloring book covers, apparently they're just extra covers and you could take it off like I did with Justice League and you still have the standard cover. Thank you, God. So that's it for this review, guys. As always, let us know in the comments below what you thought about any of the books. Right. Any of the books we talked about here. Links in the description below. Please check them out in your spare time. Tonight, 9 o'clock or 9:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Dark Avenger Live. We got lots of stuff to talk about. So till then, guys, thank you guys so much for sticking with us. Take care. Keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys really soon in the next video.
Later, everybody.